What if all that kindness you see online, the empathy, the sense of connection, what if it's not real? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on this idea of digital kindness. And what's behind it? Well, it's a pretty startling illusion of choice. Yeah, this quote, it just cuts right to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? That feeling you get that someone gets you online, it might not be a real connection at all. It could be something else entirely, a carefully planned strategy. Let's just put it plainly. That empathy you might feel coming from a brand or an influencer or even a politician, it's not always real. A lot of the time, it's just a performance. It's like they're following a kindness script, one that's been written specifically to influence you. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. The goal here is very, very real. It's your attention, your loyalty, and yeah, ultimately your behavior. You are the target. We all are. Okay, so let's dig into this. How does this whole kindness script actually work? Well, it all kicks off with this idea called performed empathy. So what's the actual difference? I mean, really, genuine empathy. That's vulnerable. It's about actually making space for another person. But performed empathy, that's just cold calculation. You ever had a boss who's like, "Oh, that sounds so tough," and then 5 seconds later, "Hey, can you work this weekend?" That's exactly it. It's not about connecting, it's about setting an emotional stage to get what they want from you. And this right here is the perfect way to frame it. A chess move cloaked in compassion. What feels like a supportive hand on your shoulder, it could just be a strategic move in a much bigger game. It's influence, plain and simple, just dressed up to look like understanding. And the reason this whole strategy is so darn effective is because it's not just playing social games. It's biological. It's designed to target your brain's reward system directly, basically turning our minds into a kind of dopamine casino. Just think about it. You get a compliment or a like on a post. Is it sincere? Who knows? Your brain doesn't stop to ask. It just releases an immediate hit of dopamine. And that rush, that feeling of pleasure and validation, it's incredibly addictive. The crazy part is the flattery doesn't even have to be true. It just have to be delivered. And right there, you have this powerful addiction loop. The notification is the trigger. Your brain gets its dopamine hit. You feel that amazing rush of validation. And then what happens? You start craving the next one. That's how social media basically becomes a slot machine for our brains. We just keep pulling the lever, refreshing the feed over and over, hoping for that next little win. All right, so they've got our brains hooked on dopamine. Check. But the control, it goes way deeper than that. The next level is to engineer the entire environment around you, creating these traps that are cleverly disguised as choices. Let's take a classic thought experiment. Imagine two buildings are on fire. In one building, you have your pet. In the other, a total stranger. You can only save one. Which do you choose? It's a terrible, impossible choice, right? There's no right answer. That is a false dilemma. It's a trap that feels like a choice. It's a coerced behavior designed to corner you, all while making you think you're the one in charge. And here's the really insidious part. It doesn't matter if you pick the pet or the stranger. Now you're forced to defend that impossible decision. The manipulator has successfully made you feel like you were in control, when really, you are just choosing your own cage. But get this, control isn't always about limiting your choices. Sometimes it's the complete opposite. It's about overwhelming you with them. I mean, have you ever stood in the toothpaste aisle just staring at 50 different brands? That's not freedom, it's exhausting. This is what's known as the tyranny of abundance. It leads to decision paralysis, it makes us dependent, and frankly, easier to manage, because we're so bogged down in meaningless decisions that we don't even notice the choices that actually matter are being made for us. So, you've got all these tools of control working on you. How is this whole system enforced? It doesn't need a police force or anything like that. No, it uses something much more powerful, one of our deepest, most primal human instincts, the need to follow the crowd. This whole thing is called social proof, and you see it literally every single day. Picture this. You're at a crosswalk. The light is red, says don't walk.
But then one person goes, then another. Before you know it, you're stepping off the curb too, right against the light. Your brain just instinctively trusts the crowd's action over the written rule. It's that old safety in numbers instinct kicking in.
And that instinct is just incredibly powerful. When logic, the actual rules, clashes with what the crowd is doing, the crowd wins. Almost every time. And in the digital world, this is exactly where clicks become conformity. Popularity isn't just a suggestion anymore, it becomes permission. All of a sudden, what's trending is what's true.
So what happens when you put all of this together? You've got the performed kindness, the dopamine hits, the fake choices, this constant pressure to conform. What's the end game here? Well, it's a quiet, steady erosion of our own agency. Our ability to think and act for ourselves just fades. And this leads us to a pretty chilling, very modern idea, the digital serf. Think about it. This is someone whose job, their social life, even the information they get, it all depends entirely on these huge platforms they have zero control over. They aren't tied to a piece of land like an old world serf. No, they're bound to algorithms. What this all means ultimately is that you become just a participant in someone else's script. Your emotions get triggered on cue, your choices are all pre-framed for you, and your desires, they're shaped to serve a system that you didn't build for reasons that have nothing to do with you. You're not the author of your own story anymore. You're just acting out a part. So the question I want to leave you with is this one. The next time you're scrolling and clicking and reacting to things online today, just pause for a second and ask yourself, who wrote the script that I'm following?